One of my first cars was a Smurf Blue 1983 Ford Ranger, 4-speed, no air conditioning. The heat didn't even work. How's that happen? 4-speed where you had to shift the gears, and the starter didn't work. So like you put the key in the ignition, nothing happens. So you have to either park on a hill, put it in first gear, and what they call dump the clutch, like let the clutch out. Anyway, I remember going on dates with a Lexus where we would push the car, jump into the car, I would do the thing to make it start running, and then take off down the road. I talk about wild, right? And so today I drive a pretty nice car. My wife does too, and we're blessed with just different stuff. I was on the way back from a trip recently, out of the country with my family, and it was for my wife and I's 17th wedding anniversary, which, by the way, was yesterday. And on the way back, it was like the third night of full moons in a row. And I was just, as I was sitting there on the plane, and I was watching the moonlight glimmer over the Atlantic, off the, just looking out the window, and my wife sitting beside me, and it's just just the incandescent glow or whatever on her, on the water. And it was just this intense feeling of pure gratitude take over and consume me. And I want to talk a minute about gratitude. I think there are at least 3 different types of gratitude. One that's like somebody gives you something and it's awesome and you're grateful for it, you're thankful for it. Another type of gratitude is that which you practice, like you're thankful for your health, or you're grateful that your grandpa or grandma made it out of surgery and now they're in recovery. That kind of gratitude. And then I think there's another kind of gratitude, man, that truly it can only be experienced. And I think before you can experience that kind of gratitude, I think you have to know what it's like to be without. I had another vehicle when I was like 17. It was an early 80s model Chevrolet K5 Blazer. The back came off. I remember 1 or 2 of the windows were busted out because I like to trail ride through the woods anyway. And I had plastic on the windows, like going down the road. It's 30 degrees. The heat is wide open, but not getting me warm because where the window's out, it's like sucking it out or whatever. And I remember driving down the road, hanging onto the steering wheel, bundled up in a ball, just thinking, man, one day. Oh gosh, it's been 3 or 4 years since we started Life That Counts. Actually, more than that, like almost 6 now. And when we first started out, I was sitting in my home, my wife, kids, weekend, something, and I sent out an email to 137 principals at different schools, telling them all about what we do, why we do it, all this kind of stuff. Our mission is to help people make better decisions for more healthy outcomes. And I didn't know any of these people, and they didn't know me. And the email was like that long, like this massive thing. I got 1 reply. I went to the school, I met the principal, I was talking to him about what we do. Of course, we at the time was just me. And he's like, man, that's awesome. Come in, we're gonna let you give it a try and see how it goes. We planned it out, it's good to go, we were there. Today, we're active in different states around the U.S. I travel pretty consistently to speak to students on platforms in their school. We have a budget that takes care of like 7 or 8 of us staff members. This week coming up, we're gonna serve like over 20 new schools, some 1,500, 2,000 more students. And I'm at a place where, as I was on the way back on that flight, I was sitting there and I was thinking about my life. And see, there's different areas of life, right? There's like the external world. There's like things. And yeah, so I drive a nice vehicle and we live in a great house and all this. So there's a gratitude that you can practice over that. But that, what you got to understand, though, still, man, is that's a superficial gratitude. That's not, yeah, it's just kind of surface level, right? That's things that aren't going to last 5 seconds after I'm gone kind of stuff. And then another type of gratitude that I practice is the gratitude that I have for the team that I get to work with and the work that we do and the students that we serve and the schools that we, and all that kind of thing, right? And man, that's more than surface level. Like for me, that's like the apex way. That's like the way in your life that you give back, that you find a place to serve. Who was a guy from Canada that said a person's vocation is where their deepest longing meets the world's greatest need? And he defined that as your vocation. And so that's fulfilling. I can't even begin to tell you like how, like, wow, really? We get to do that. I get to be a part of that. I get to experience that. I get to work with a talented team. I get to be, really? Like, wow. And then there's a gratitude that even goes deeper than that. Once a week or so, my wife and my 2 kids will travel out of town. We'll have lunch with, or dinner with extended family. My folks, her folks will all sit around the table. There's babies crying or laughing, and it's just a good time. And then I get to sit there and I get to experience family. I get to experience my wife and her parents and my parents, these 2 completely separate groups of people who at one time didn't even know one another. Now they're family and they're sitting at the same table and they're sharing a meal together and they're experiencing life and they're doing this thing together. And now there's grandkids that my wife and I have that are, you know, her parents' grandkids and my parents' grandkids and that kind of thing, right? And then like cousins and aunts and uncles, and we get to do all of this and we get to create that. And if you guys have tracked with me for more than just a few minutes, like this is a life that started all uphill. This is a life that started, never met my biological father. I know what poverty's like. I was talking to my man here filming before we started. I was like, hey, have you ever had a bread sandwich? And he was like, yeah, but you know it's bad when you have a hot dog sandwich, like a, you know, the bun without the dog. Guys, it's 2019. It's a new year. And some of you guys have seen stuff for resolutions, and some of you guys have, you know, some of you guys have made new fitness goals, or you got new whatever. I'm going to do great in my grades this year. I'm going to change my attitude this year, or I'm going to get control of my anger this year, or whatever. All of those things are 100% worth going after. But I want to encourage you, so if you skip a couple days here or there, or if you lose your cool, or if you whatever, or if you eat chocolate cake at 1 a.m. whatever, or if you bomb a test because you were on Fortnite and you didn't study, you were getting those dubs, baby. I want to encourage you, that doesn't mean you failed. It doesn't mean you failed. Just pick yourself up, keep walking, keep going, keep hammering in, keep putting in the reps, practice saying no to the chocolate cake. Put the controller down, pick up your pencil, do your math homework. Hey man, whatever it is that you've got to do. Because it's only recently in my life that I've started to experience the kind of gratitude that I'm trying to tell you about. And until you experience that gratitude, I don't know that you'll know it. And the only way it can be had is by putting in the reps, working from a place to get to a place. And here's the beautiful thing about it. It's not a self-centered thing. It's not a me thing. It's not a me-centric or me-focused thing. I almost want to say it's a thing where you're completely at peace and at rest. You may not be there yet, wherever there is, but you know without a doubt, you know you're on the way. Does that make sense?